Welcome everybody to Bosses in Action. I'll be your host today, Trenton Bodine, Director of Technology for Tristan and Associates. And today we have David Hutchinson. He's out of Toronto, Canada, with Rare Real Estate, and he's going to be here to talk to us about what that rental gold mine looks like and how he can build a massive database for ad-free real estate success. And so, why don't you introduce yourself, David, before we get started here, and let everybody know kind of a little bit about you.
Yeah, for sure. Thanks for having me. I'm a longtime follow-up boss advocate, big fan. Like you said, I'm from Toronto, Ontario, in Canada. For those of you that are watching that are in Canada, thank you for coming. I've been in real estate now for almost 8 years. I have a team of 22 real estate agents that work for me. I pretty much specialize in helping new realtors, achieve success in their first like 0 to 3 years. It's the real estate industry is challenging, and I think the education you get from school can be tough. So I like to help those that need it when they're looking for that mentorship. In terms of transaction volume, we like to measure in volume in Canada because our price points are high in Toronto. Average price for a home is around $1 million, 1.2. So we sold just over 40 million last year, our team. And yeah, that's it.
Awesome. And so today we're here to talk about different rental business here. And so I'm curious, David, what was that pivotal moment that led you to specialize in rentals, within the real estate market?
Yeah, as a new agent, it's tough because you need a place to get experience, you need somewhere to look to learn the industry and learn the ins and outs. And it can be challenging because one, you don't have any capital to run paid ads because you're a new agent, likely struggling financially. Two, you don't know the industry, you don't know paperwork, you don't know how to speak to people, you don't know where to find leads. And three, like I said, you need that initial capital to actually invest back into your business. Now, the problem is not many people will trust you with their big financial goal of purchasing or selling a home. So you need to get that experience from somewhere. And in Toronto, or I'm assuming most of the real estate industry across North America, rentals are a lot of work for a very little payout in terms of comparing to a sale. And there was just a lot of opportunity because most of the senior agents or people that were getting lease listings didn't really want to be a part of that. So I kind of weaseled my way in and made myself known that I would take care of those lease problems for them by taking out the tenants and representing the lease landlords as well. So for me, it was a huge hole and a huge opportunity in the business. And it's changed a lot for those of you that are from Canada in here. It's definitely a lot more challenging and quite expensive now. But for me, it was a way that I saw that I could build my database for free, learn the industry, learn my farming area, learn how to speak to people, learn how to do the documents, learn how to negotiate, build relationships with other realtors. And that was pretty much it.
Excellent. Yeah, I mean, it seems like you really had to change your approach here to the real estate business overall. What's a common obstacle that you see agents facing when it comes to the rental market?
The biggest issue I think you see now is that the consumer just has so much education out there. This consumer has so much more knowledge back from when I started, not that long ago, but everyone has access to all information. And the biggest problem I see is that consumers are unaware or uneducated on how the rental process works. And the realtors are not expressing to those clients how it actually works. So we're seeing the biggest hole, the biggest problem right now is that, the consumer is clicking on 15, 20 different Facebook ads or whatever, Kijiji ads, talking to 15 different realtors, and we're all struggling to keep that business. So in this webinar here, we can kind of talk about how to keep that business and how to stop people from working with 15 different realtors at once and just keep that focus on yourself and by providing value and attention to those people and treating these transactions, even though the payout is significantly smaller, likely, treating those people just as though they were buyers and sellers, because that will get you repeat referral business. It's huge.
Yeah, and you mentioned providing value, and I think that
Mm-hmm.
goes a long ways because you could be that classic agent that's just asking questions of, "Are you ready to buy yet?" "Are you ready to?"
Yeah.
But if you're not able to provide some type of value to keep them interested and keep them more of that long term, I think that's where you're kind of missing out. So, what is it that type of value that you guys typically provide, for renters?
Yeah, I think like I kind of touched on it, but the biggest thing is letting that tenant be a part and let them understand and educate them on the process, because they, first of all, my best advice to new realtors is think about what a consumer would think, because we get licensed, we get all the training, we start doing transactions, and we forget that most consumers, even though they do have access to information, that they don't know everything. So a lot of them are just uneducated on the process. So what we do differently is we don't just say, hey, yeah, you're looking for a rental, no problem. Whereabouts? Okay, circle on a map, send them listings, and hope that they call us, right? That's not how we operate. Typically, what we're going to do is we're going to actually have an onboarding call just as we would a buyer or seller. It doesn't have to be an hour-long call, and it doesn't have to be in person. It can just be on a Zoom call or a phone call, pretty nonchalant. But during that process, we're going to go through an onboarding process where we're going to actually explain how this process works. We're going to explain the documents that you need. We're going to explain how it's going to work from start to finish. And most importantly, we're going to explain why we're here. Because most people don't see the value in realtors because we don't go above and beyond, or we don't go out of our way to show our value, right? We just set them up on a search and they treat us like not the best, because all they're getting results sent to them by 20 different agents at once, So we're a dime a dozen to them. So you have to do whatever you can to stand out to those people. And like I said, provide value. And we do that by having an onboarding process, explaining everything we're doing, having product knowledge. It's crazy to me that some realtors, have little to none when it comes into product knowledge. You need to know what's going on in your market. And if you don't, how can you provide value, right?
Exactly. So you're mentioning the processes, you're mentioning, the communication that goes out. So I'm curious from a follow-up boss standpoint, how has FUB, impacted your ability to really manage and grow that database?
Yeah. So we have action plans set up. I know as a new agent, it can be overwhelming looking at follow-up boss sometimes to get it where it needs to be. But there are companies out there and there are people out there that will help you. The follow-up boss community is a great place on Facebook, actually, where they do have lots of help in terms of how to set your follow-up boss up. But everyone's different. So for me, when a lead gets registered into my database, it's automatically going into my CRM, and it's going to automatically get an email and a text from me. So capturing that person's attention immediately is humongous, because like I said, consumers are on Facebook, they're on Kijiji, they're on whatever rental websites they're on, clicking on multiple different websites, contacting 15, 20 different agents. So you need to capture their attention right away and then provide that value immediately. So for me, follow-up boss having the right action plans, so to immediately catch their attention. And then not only that, my most successful drip campaign or action plan, I'm not sure if everybody calls them action plans or it's a follow-up boss thing, but when I say action plan, some people look at me like I got 10 heads. But a drip campaign, okay?
You have to repeat that multiple
My
times. Is it a plan? Is it a smart plan? Is it a drip campaign? They all
Yeah,
work.
same thing. It's a drip campaign of emails that are automated. The nice thing for me is, and my most successful action plan that I put on every single renter is renter future buyer. And regardless of if they give me their information and never talk to me again, or if the transaction goes incredibly well, we close them, that action plan is always running on the background, along with other action plans as well. But renter future buyer for me is great because it's a spanned out over, I think, 4 years. Sending them frequent emails, like not pushy emails, not every other day, about every 30 to 45 days. Just reminding them that I'm here, providing them information on the buying process, because most renters are not really aware of how to buy. So if I'm the one that got them the place, they like me, they know me, they trust me, and I'm staying top of mind without me doing anything, not many leads go through the crack or fall through the cracks with the proper system set up anyways.
Awesome. Well, that's great there. So, today's topic kind of is around organic growth. And, that's kind of the
Yeah.
cornerstone of enduring success. So, I'm curious. I wanted to kind of dive into more of the strategies that have fueled your journey here. So what
Okay.
are some foundational steps that agents should take, to initiate that organic growth when it comes to the rental sector?
Um, I mean, majority of my leads do come from social. So for me, building a brand on social was super important for me, and I suggest doing that for you as well, because people are going to be following you, and it's not just about posting just sold, just leased, whatever. I think the importance of posting your day to day, your routines, your wins, your losses is what's crucial behind building a brand. But the foundation will be to build a solid brand on social and continue to post and provide value on social. Um, Yeah, I mean, in terms of like the what was the question? What's the main question?
Those kind of the foundational steps when it comes to having that organic sector. And you kind of mentioned that where you're wanting to build that brand. You want to focus on,
Yes.
that value you can provide. And so,
Yeah, yeah, product knowledge. You have to have product knowledge, right? You have to understand what's going on in your community. Where we live in Toronto, it depends on which part, of the world you're in, North America you're in. But we specialize and we do a lot of condos because it's just where we live. It'd be like a mini New York for those that haven't been to Toronto. And if you're not aware of product knowledge and the demographics within each building, and I'll give you an example of why this is important. Again, rentals typically get overlooked because they're not as glamorous or high paying as the buying and selling. But so many times, because I did so many rentals early on in my career, I knew almost every building in the farming area that I worked. I knew the concierge front desk by name. I knew which floors all the amenities were on. I knew typically the demographic of the building. Because I did a lot of rentals as a newer agent, I was able to kind of identify, if the building was rental heavy or end user heavy as a buyer seller. And when you do these things repetitively with renters, I'm not saying that rental clients are less important than buyers and sellers by any means. If you treat them that way, you'll know you have to treat these people equally because it is just as important. But when you go through with renters through these buildings and you start to familiarize yourself with everything, and then that one day when you finally get the higher end buyer or seller, and you're able to walk in the front door with your client, introduce yourself to the concierge who knows you by name, show them and the amenities where the amenities are, know where the lock boxes are all set up, have information about the building in general. You're going to look like a rock star and you've already gained their trust. And that's all from working with rentals in the past, right? So that would be my biggest thing, building a brand online, learning your farm area and learning product knowledge.
excellent. That's some great information there. So when it comes to, the posts that you're putting on social media and the value that you're providing, is there any one or two campaigns that you typically see a lot of resounding success from, or
From social
clients coming
media?
that are engaging with you?
Yeah, well, it's going to be like, for those that follow me on here, I really don't post that much real estate content. My content that gets the most engagement is just me, you know, going about showing kind of what a day to day would look like as a real estate agent, and showing like wins and losses, but just more so life within the area that I'm working. I see a lot of success with U.S. realtors where their niches, move to Texas or they're the agent of whatever. I pretty much exclusively talk about the pros and cons of living in the city of Toronto. And, I'm always hashtagging the city of Toronto, talking about the issues, the good things, the bad things, what I'm experiencing day to day. And this is my advice to realtors on social media. I know this isn't the topic of this webinar, but I'll go on anyways. I think realtors are so caught up and so nervous to get on camera. And I understand that it's not a easy feat to jump on camera and start talking. And it's not for everybody, but you need to show people who you are because people buy based on emotion. And if you're just posting, just sold, just leased, just bought, whatever, it's a very boring page. And think about it. People don't, when you open your phone, you don't open your phone with the intention to be sold something. Instagram and TikTok are typically fun apps. You go on there to be entertained. You don't go on there to be sold things. Typically, when I open my TikTok, and there's an ad already, I'm annoyed already trying to swipe off it because it's bothering me. I just wanted to laugh at some dumb stuff that people are saying. So build your brand about who you are. Don't compare yourself to other people. Just, be who you are on social media. And people ask me all the time, what I'm tying this all into is that, you know, they wonder how I get leads if I'm not really posting about just sold, just leased. But it's how I've built my business on authenticity and being genuine by posting those posts constantly online. People are intimidated by realtors. Let's not forget that. People are intimidated. They don't want to reach out and get spammed by bots. They're nervous about realtors. So by being authentic and genuine on my social media, it allows people to feel comfortable to reach out to me and that it's not going to be a sales conversation. And what I do is once those people reach out to me, that's now a lead to me in my eyes. And I'm going to nurture and build that relationship, not around buying or selling. I'm going to build a relationship first. Eventually, they're going to ask me about some sort of real estate, but I'm going to build a relationship first, and then, if I get a chance, if they open the door, I'm going to go in there as a realtor, but build a relationship based on just whatever you're seeing on a day-to-day basis. And I had it happen like very recently. I talk about real estate all the time out in public, and had this guy who followed me from the gym, and we never actually spoke in person. He followed me from the gym. We did the whole, like, what guys do when you nod at each other for a few months first, maybe a year. If you're and he came up to me like a few weeks ago, and he's like, "Hey man, I follow you on social media. You're a realtor, yeah?" And I was like, "Yeah." He's like, "Yeah, I love your stuff. Hey, look, I am looking to sell my condo, and I want to jump in to buy something too." And I was like, "Okay, cool." Never once. I looked at our Instagram conversations. We talked about nonsense about, he had a dog, I had a dog. We talked about how the dog park was crazy and how the gym was busy, blah, blah, blah. Not one single thing about real estate, but we had been engaging in conversations, never in real life. And then, nurtured that relationship till he was ready to buy.
And I think that's a really important piece there is, because that is all about the organic growth and how you can,
Right.
foster those relationships there. And, you made a big point of that you're not selling real estate on your social media. You're trying to, you know, brand yourself as kind of like that local expert. It's
Right.
almost like I'm going to put out that content for you guys to then come to me when you guys are ready. And then I love how you're saying that, these conversations aren't even about real estate, and that's part of the
Yeah,
thing of building trust as well. And so I think that's incredible that you're able to do that. And, I would put that as kind of one of the most successful organic campaign type things if you're working on
for
like that.
sure.
It's about, building the trust and credibility with, followers or people that you're interacting with at the gym, things like that. I think that's great. And
Yeah.
I just saw that you posted your handle
Yeah.
there.
Someone else. Yeah,
Oh, perfect. Yeah. So there's that if you want to follow David. I think that's great there. So, that kind of shifts us into more of how engaging with the clients and, using technology and how that is. And, because those are kind of lifelines of, a thriving ad free business model. And so,
for
what
sure.
I'm more curious about as well is, what other methods are you using to continually engage with your rental properties? So, if you're talking about specifically, branding yourself, how do you bring in the rental properties into the equation?
Yeah, I think, okay, so I'll start this by saying, like, majority, you're true. I know we want to talk about ad-free growth, which is huge. And I think as a new agent, it's extremely important because you don't have that capital to be dumping money into, certain products. And, it took me a long time to be able to afford, spending $3,000 a month US. So for Canadians, it's like $5,000 on, these ad lead gen companies. So I typically use whatever local, for me in Toronto. I don't know where it is in North America, what these companies are, but I'm sure there's a million. A big one is Facebook Marketplace. Again, it's tied to my brand, so people see that it's me posting them. So that's a huge thing. There's one, obviously, Kijiji, Rentboard, Rentals. There's a million websites you can use to post on here. Now, I think, like, how do I tie this into to rentals, and how do I get people engaged? It's more so just once I'm with them, to be honest, and how I provide them value. But I'm trying to think of how I would organically bring them value through social. Is what you're asking? Yeah.
Yeah, social, whether it be through different communication, using follow-up boss with, sending property alerts.
Okay.
I'm curious, how do we get them back into actually selling the real estate part of things now?
Gotcha. Okay. I think, look, okay, so this is a thing that I love talking about. It's just so many realtors are just so heavily caught up in chasing what's new and shiny. And I understand that because I do it too. Tons of new companies come available all the time with the new best upcoming technology that's going to get you the best leads. But I'd be willing to bet that everybody in here, there's 19 people in here, I think maybe more, that there's probably tens of thousands of dollars within your existing database. The biggest fault that I had as a newer agent was, well, one, I didn't have follow-up boss as a brand new agent. But everybody in here, I'm assuming, has follow-up boss. Every single person you speak to, whether they continue the communication or not, should be in your database, and they should be on some sort of drip campaign or action plan. Okay, this was a really big eye-opening moment for me when I was about like year 3 in the industry. I was doing okay. I was starting now to kind of get out of rentals, starting to work with more buyers, but not enough where I was seeing the success that I wanted. And my, at the time, coach told me to go back through every single person that I've closed as a renter, and call them and make sure they're okay. And I was like, oh, they're just renters though. Like, why would I go back and call those people? He's like, just go and do it. Okay. Go and do it. First of all, I would say about half weren't in my database because I was texting them on my cell phone, or I felt that just it was quick and easy. I don't need to put them in my database. Every single person you meet ever that gives you their information should be in your CRM. If it's not, you're missing out on money. Every single person, literally. What I did is I went back and called all the first 200 plus deals I did through rentals, and I would say honestly about 100 150 dials in, there was at least 5 to 7 people that had bought 1 year after they had rented. And they didn't use me. They didn't use me to buy that property. And they didn't use me because I didn't follow up with them. And they didn't use me because I didn't reach out to them. And at first I was angry with these people. And then I realized, there's a lot of realtors out there. And why would they follow up with me? That's my job to follow up with them. And like I said, if you're putting these people in your database, I really believe that every single person in your database, unless they've told you to stop contacting them, should be on some form of drip campaign, some form of action plan, depending on what source they are, what stage they are. You can set this up however you want, but how I have it is, I have my leads who haven't answered me yet, hot, warm, cold, and my past clients. There's a few other ones in there, active client, whatever. But those main people there all need to be on some sort of action plan, especially your past clients. I was just speaking in New York recently, and my favorite line that I heard from any speaker was, they're only past clients because you put them in the past. Treat your rental clients just like you would a normal buy sell, because they're going to buy at some point from you. And at the very least, they're going to give you some sort of referral. I have literally probably 3 or 4 rental clients that have made me over $100,000 each. So, I mean, you need to be keeping in contact with these rental clients and putting them on action plans, or else you're going to be losing money. I hope I answered that question.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
I think that's a great point there of, making sure that there's at least some type of follow-up going out. And maybe that's kind of where you should pay attention to some of the conversations that you're having. So that way, if
Yeah.
you don't have an action plan, to be able to set up some type of task that follows up based off of something they mentioned. Maybe they
Yeah.
said kids are doing something, or that they're going on a trip. That it allows for you to have some type of continued conversation, even if it's outside of real
Yeah.
estate. Still shows you care, still shows you're
Yeah.
there. That too.
When you're working with rental clients, like you're obtaining so much information. I'm not sure about, again, I can only speak for Toronto, but I'm assuming most of North America. I have their photo ID, which means I have their birthday. Create an action plan of some sort to remind you to call them on their birthday. Or send them a gift card for a coffee on their birthday. Make sure these action plans, and I don't want to scare people, because I know when I talk about action plans, people get so overwhelmed with, well, so many things it's really not. Like, you really only need, realistically, 4 emails a year, 1 per quarter, let's say, realistically, at the very least. And these don't have to be super intricate emails, just touch points, right? And these are just automated touch points, not on top of the things you should already be doing. You can get super in depth with this, and we can talk about this for hours in terms of like smart lists and how you start your day. But it comes down to consistency too, right? Like, I start my Monday the same way every single Monday forever. I look at my certain group of people with a certain stage. My Tuesdays are different for a different stage. And it's like, create the consistency and create what's good for you within your follow-up boss, and create the systems. But I'm big on systems, and it doesn't have to be these intricate, crazy systems. It's just got to be a little bit there. And so you're not letting people fall through the cracks. It's huge, especially renters. If you treat renters like you treat a buyer or a seller, I can assure you they're going to look. I tell my people that I don't get really paid much on. I don't work with rentals anymore. That's how I built my entire business. I have like 18,000 people in my database, and truthfully, I could run my entire business every single year without spending $1 on ad spend, just purely based on repeat and referral clients from rental clients and new. But yeah, so they're all still in there, and that's not to say too. I just did a deal recently. And keep in mind, I think this is off topic, but I'm rambling, and I'm going to go anyways with it. Okay. People have this weird thing where if they don't answer or engage with you, they just let them die in your CRM. And my other coach that I hired at the time, I had been starting out increasing paid ads to my CRM, and I had I think it was like over 15 or something $1,000 of leads in my database that have been contacted less than 3 times. Like that's really bad. They're just sitting there waiting to be sold real estate. These people gave you their information because they want information from you. So switch your mindset to think that you're not bothering these people by calling them, emailing them. They actually asked for the information. So don't think that you're bugging them. They want it, and when you're reaching out to them, don't think you're spamming people. I really believe that spam is more what's inside of the email than the quantity of emails you're sending. If you're sending, and I'll give you an example, I get an email every single day from the same real estate coach, and I read every single email every single day. But if he sent me bullshit, oh, sorry, oops. If he sent me bad emails, I'd unfollow, unsubscribe, right? So don't be stressed about that.
Yeah, I think that's important too. Of, what other value can you guys continue to provide? Something that we're doing a lot with our team is we're creating blog articles around different things that
Huge.
are happening within the city. And so, that's a great opportunity for, focus on holidays coming up, focus on, different big events that are happening in your area, and then, create an article about it and be able to share that value. Even if it's as simple as, what to do this weekend, at least you're sharing, hey, I just put this together. Just wanted you guys to check it out. Just letting you know what's happening in town today or this weekend. And so that, again, that's not about, constantly trying to sell real estate, but it allows for, them to come back to your website, see your name, see your branding, realize who you are, and then be able to, if they do appreciate it, obviously they'll continue to ask for more and you can continue to provide that additional content. So, that's just something that we're doing. And that's just a way to continue to provide that extra value. And so,
For sure.
one of the last questions here I wanted to ask you is, so now that you helped, secure the rentals and you're securing the future clients and everything like that, what is the one thing that you're constantly doing outside of making sure that you have a smart plan set up to retain these clients?
Yeah, for me, as all through social media, like I kind of tie back to, I follow every person on social media. They follow me back. So these clients become friends, and whether they're actually friends or not, I'm always in. All it is like I like their photo, or I comment on their photo, or they comment on my photos, and I'm engaging with these people. So you have to remember that touch points don't always have to be like drip campaign emails. They can be social media touch points as well. I message all my clients, but I'm a big calling guy. I try to always call all my past clients at least once a quarter. And just like you said, I think that's the best thing. If there's any takeaway from this, it's like, you know, change your mindset on when you're bringing these people value, because they do want to hear from you. These people do want to hear from you. They do want your input. And as a newer realtor, if you're worried that you don't know what you're talking about, you do. Um, when I was in real estate, I can promise you I wasn't reading real estate news. You know what I mean? There's a few people out there that love that stuff, but most people have no clue what's going on in the real estate world, because why would they? They're so consumed on their own world of things that they could care less about the real estate world. So you do know enough to call these people and talk to them. And great point, Trenton, by just, providing value and information on the area that you work in. Whenever a new restaurant opens, hey, just letting you know, a new restaurant opened up. We went there the other day. It was great food, great service. You should check them out. So just keeping in contact, phone calls, social media, emails, like mini gifts, that kind of stuff.
That's awesome. I love that. So we're coming up around the end. If anybody did have any other questions, drop them in the chat. We can get them answered real quick. But in the meantime, think about these strategies that we talked about. Think about these insights discussed, and then how you guys can continue to engage with your current database that you have. Whether they're brand new or someone that's been in there for 2, 3, 4 years. Don't forget about them. And as David kind of mentioned, making sure that we're focusing on key touch points, no matter what it is, but as long as you're reaching out to show you're there, they'll remember who you are. Um, Jay said, I don't see the
Yeah,
action.
I did. So that one was created. So I can tell you super quick, just the main ones that you need to have. Like for me, you need new lead renter, right? New lead buyer, new lead seller, nurture renter, nurture buyer, nurture seller, post closing lease, post closing sale. And my biggest one is renter future buyer. If that's the one you're talking about, I would just think of emails every quarter to send people with like information on how to get into the buying pool. I don't know how it works in all states, but in Canada, you don't need 20% down to buy. Everybody thinks that they do. A lot of first-time home buyers or people in the rental pool they think the prices are like crazy. I always say, hey, how much do you think a one bedroom condo would cost? And their price is always 200K on over what it really is. So the renter future buyer action plan is just like super tidbits on how to like build credit, save money, how the buying process works, who you need in the real estate transaction. Super simple touch points just to like slowly remind them that you aren't just a rental agent. You can assist them when it comes to buying and selling.
That's
Hope that
great. You
helps.
know, having those ability for them to understand it as well, you know, almost kind of treat them as if they don't know anything. And what are those little extra pieces that you can provide to them? Yeah, that you know, 20% down has always been the, you know, the kind of known thing that you need to have. But
Yeah,
no, there's other programs out there. You know, yeah, maybe you might have to pay mortgage insurance, but at least that gives you an opportunity to get your foot in the door and be able to, you know, start building
exactly.
that equity as well. So I just want to
Exactly.
say thank you, David, for joining us. He did put his social into the chat if you guys want to follow him. And I just want to say thank you again for joining us and sharing your insights that you did have. And if you have any closing thoughts, definitely let us hear it.
That's it. I think like, look, everybody put every single person you meet in your CRM because the whole point is to have as many people in your database as possible. You know, the more people you know, the more real estate you can sell. I really believe that. And, you know, just as a new agent, if you're struggling, I swear it gets better. Just hang in there.
Excellent. Well, thank you guys for joining us. Thank you, Follow Up Boss, for having us. And thank you, David, for attending.
Thank you.
All right. See you guys next time.
Bye.